everyone. This is Heather from the MLS Technical Support Department with Metrotex Association of Realtors. I am joined by my lovely coworker, Gail, from the MLS department, who is behind the scenes answering your questions and keeping us on track today. Gail?
Hi.
Thank you for joining us today for the eKey Made Easy webinar. As you think of questions throughout the presentation, please type them in the question pane located on the right side of your screen. If you cannot see the question pane, you may have to click the orange arrow button to maximize it. We will do our best to answer your questions as we go through, as possible and as time allows through the presentation. Today's purpose of this webinar is to show you how to use your Supra eKey more efficiently and how to maneuver around on the online Supra system. We're going to go over some really cool features today, such as adding a Keybox, getting a new update code, running some showing reports, and even changing your PIN number. Let's not waste any more time and let's go ahead and get started today. First thing we're going to do is a poll question. What type of Supra key do you use? We'll give you all a second to go ahead and answer that question. For those of you who are not aware, you have two different kinds of keys. A eKey, which we're going over today, and a D key, which is a display key.
Okay. All right, looks like everybody's voted. Let's see what you guys had to say.
All right, awesome. It looks like most of you are eKey users, so hopefully you'll learn a few new tricks today as we go through our presentation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to go over today is how you actually obtain a key. So the first thing you're going to do is actually open up your app on your phone and you're going to select Obtain Key. Okay. Next screen that will come up on your app is going to be the PIN code. So you'll enter your 4-digit PIN code. If you're not sure about your PIN code, it's going to be the 4-digit PIN that you set up when you first got your key services. If you happen to forget, it's always okay. You can contact Metrotex or Supra to be provided that information.
Should I just write it down on the back of my key?
No, we encourage you not to do that because in case your key gets misplaced, you don't want that PIN number just floating around for anyone to use.
Okay.
So it's just like your PIN number for your bank account. Keep it secure and private. Okay? All right, the next step you're going to do is press the button on your fob. As you can see right here on the screen, there is a green button. Okay, if you do not get that green button, then and you get a red button, that means the battery is going out within your fob. Okay, if you happen to get that red light, you can replace the battery by going to any local hardware store or coming to Metrotex to purchase new batteries for your fob. Okay. While you have it faced directly at the key box, remember to face it at that little red eye on the front of the key box. At this point, it will communicate between your phone to the fob to the key box. Okay. Once you get to the success screen, that is your indication that the key compartment is available to be opened. All you have to do is push on the very bottom of the compartment and the key compartment will fall out. Take the key out and replace the compartment. Okay? All right, the next thing we're going to go over is how you actually open a shackle. Okay, so the purpose that you would be opening a shackle is if you were going to take and put this on a new listing that you have, or possibly take it off of your listing. Okay, so again, you're going to open up the app and you're going to select Open Shackle. At this point, you have to enter the shackle code. Every key box has their own significant key shackle code. If you don't remember your shackle code, you can always call Supra or Metrotex to obtain that if you have forgotten it. Okay. The next thing you have to do is select a reason. As you can see, you have add a new listing, remove from a listing, relocate on the same listing, or none of the above. If you do add a new listing, note that it is going to ask you for either an MLS number or the address of the listing so it can assign it to that listing for you. Okay. Then you're going to select Begin, which will pop up on your phone once you have entered the shackle code and reason. Now you're going to again press the button on that fob until that light turns green, and you're going to face it directly at the box. Okay? At this point in time, it's going to communicate with the two. Once it's done, it's going to automatically pop open that shackle.
Does it ever just not pop open?
Yes, Gail, every once in a while that shackle can get stuck. If that does tend to happen, it's typically because the pressure on the shackle has gotten jammed. So there's two options you can try. One, you can always put the box in the palm of your hand, lifting up, so again there's no pressure on that shackle, and retry the process. If that does not work, you can also do the same thing by turning it upside down. Again, it releases that pressure on the shackle so that you can actually open it. If neither one of those options work, unfortunately, you either have to have it cut off by a licensed locksmith, or you can remove the doorknob. Those are not the most wonderful options, we know, but those are the last options if the other two do not work. Okay? All right, now we're going to go ahead and do another poll question today. Have you ever read a Keybox report? Okay, and you can get those Keybox reports even by calling us at Metrotex, and we can always email those to you. Okay, let's see, it looks like most of you have answered. Let's go ahead and check out our results here.
Okay, let's take a look.
All right, so it looks like most of you have not seen a Keybox report, which is not a problem. We're going to actually go over some of that today, and I'm going to show you how you can do that on your app. Okay, so again, you're going to open up the app, and this time you're going to select Read Activity, which is that middle button right there in the middle. Okay, it's going to ask you for the shackle code. Again, it's that 4-digit shackle code to each individual box. And then you're going to select Begin. Okay, again, you're going to see that repeating picture. If you don't see that green light, know that you need to change out that battery. If it's not responding at all, the battery's already dead. Okay, so make sure you're pointing it directly at that key box so it can communicate. Once it is completely done, it's going to provide you with that activity report, which will look something like this. Okay. Note, if you were ever wanting to reach out to one of the individuals, which is on your activity report, all you have to do is click on that individual's name, and it will provide you with a phone number. The great thing about this app is if you click the phone number, it will allow you to call directly from your phone.
So if somebody accidentally walks up with the house keys, you can hunt them down, right?
Yes,
Oh.
yes you can. Okay, so you can always go back and see who's been accessing your box at any time. So this may be important if you ever need to provide this to maybe your supervisor, your activity throughout the week. You can always print off this report by going online, which you'll go over a little bit later through the presentation. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is how you're going to add a key box. Let's say you happen to purchase a key box from another agent.
Oh, looks like we have a pop quiz.
Ah, okay.
Uh-oh. We didn't tell you we're going to have quizzes today, did we?
All right, do you have to go to Metrotex office to add a key box to your inventory? Okay, let's see what everybody has to say about that.
And let's take a look.
All right, good. It looks like most of you answered correctly. No, you do not have to go to Metrotex. The only reason you would maybe have to go to Metrotex instead of doing this online or through your app would be if that key box still belonged to another individual. Okay, if your key box belongs to another individual, you can bring that in with the report. All you have to do is give Metrotex a call, and we'll give you the exact steps on how to take care of that. But if you happen to buy this key box, maybe it's brand new or you did buy it online, and you know it's deprogrammed, you can always do this within your app. Okay. First thing you're going to do is select Add Key Box. Okay. Now it's going to ask you for that shackle code. Okay. And you're going to go ahead and select Begin. All right, there's that wonderful picture again. You're going to push the button on that fob so it's pointing directly at that box, okay? So the two can communicate with one another. Now there's another step, okay? Now it's going to give you success, telling you that this has now successfully been added to your inventory, okay? Now with that being said, in your inventory, okay, we're going to do another poll question. All right. Do all of your key boxes have the same shackle code? All right. If they do not have the same shackle code, it would be wonderful if you only had to remember one number instead of umpteen-jillion of them, okay? Well, there's a real fun way to do that. Let's see if anybody has answered it correctly. Yes, you can send, all right, it looks like most of you did answer yes.
Okay, but it's going to help those people who have 5 different shackle codes for 5 different boxes, right?
Yes, it will. Okay, so you can always go into your app and edit a key box. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go into the app and select inventory this time. You'll notice when you open the inventory, it's going to show you all the boxes. Okay, you're going to select the correct box you want to change. At the very bottom, you'll have an option for edit. Okay. Now on this edit screen, you're going to notice highlighted in blue, the shackle code and the access hours are the things that you can edit. Okay. Now if you were interested in adding some additional information, you can. If you scroll down towards the end of the page, you can also add listing information, business card information, and agent notes, and even a flyer. Okay, those are all optional things within your key box. Now let's say that for this purpose we were wanting to edit a shackle code. Okay, so you would click on shackle code and it's going to ask you for the new shackle code. You'll enter it twice and click save. Now you'll notice it takes you right back to that edit screen. At the very bottom you notice the buttons have changed. Now it's only got a program button. Okay. So you've changed the information, but you have not programmed the box yet. So now you're going to go ahead and click on program, and at this point it's going to ask you for the shackle code. Now I know this may seem confusing, but that shackle code it's asking for is not the brand new one. It is actually the old shackle code it's asking for at this point in time. Okay, that's the only way you can reprogram it. So you'll enter the, the old shackle code and then click the word begin. All right, there again, you're going to push the button on the fob so it's faced directly at that key box. Once it has gone through, you're going to get a success screen saying now that key box and the number has now been updated.
So basically what I can do is I can go through for all my boxes and put in the same shackle code, so I only have to remember one box. Now, you also said something about hours. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so let's say that maybe your client that you have that box at, maybe they have young children or they have pets or animals or something of that nature, so they need maybe a shorter time frame of when somebody can access that key box.
Okay.
Or maybe they have an extended time. Maybe they need a little bit later hours so they can accommodate someone showing up at their listing. So you can always edit the access hours. The standard access hours are from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening. So if you wanted to extend it till maybe 8 in the evening, you could then change it to 8 p.m. so anybody showing up to your listing could access it until 8 o'clock instead of the standard 6 p.m.
Oh, so if I have like a night sleeper or something, or most people sleep nights, never mind. If I had a day sleeper, so I could maybe set it so that it doesn't open until noon.
Correct. Correct.
Ah, okay,
yes.
Cool.
So definitely when you are going to put a key box on your listing, go ahead and check with your seller and see if there's certain hours that would better accommodate their schedules.
Good.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to Supra Online. So this is the Supra eKey Online. Okay. And we're going to throw up another poll question and see how many of you have actually viewed Supra Online. We'll give y'all a second to go ahead and answer that question.
Okay, and let's take a look at our results. Some of you guys have, a lot of you haven't, and some of you don't know what Supra Online is. Okay, good mix, good mix.
The first thing we're going to do is to get to Supra Online, you are going to go to www.supraekey.com. Okay? So as you can see, if you've never used this, which it looks like most of you have not used this product, you're going to have to actually register as a new user. So if you look right over here in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to go and select Register. Okay? At this point in time, it's going to take you to where you're going to put in all of your contact information, your user ID, and password information, and even have you set up some of your security questions as well. Once you have set up the account, you'll submit and it will allow you to actually access it. Okay. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and log in since I do have an account so we can see a little bit further on what you can do within Supra Online. Okay. Alright, so there is lots of wonderful features within Supra. The first thing you're going to notice is right here in this middle section is your showings dashboard. Okay. Now you'll notice right here we've got the date and time. Looks like that's an MLS number right there. The next to that is an address, so that is a specific listing within MLS. Then the showing information of the showing agent, and then some other actions. Okay. Now if you're not aware of what these over here on the right are for, if you go to the very bottom, it does have a legend that tells you what each one of those icons are for. So that little bubble is actually showing feedback. Okay, so one thing I want to point out is if you notice right here for the MLS number, it's actually a clickable option. So if you click on it, it would take you to the MLS information. Okay, now we're going to go over that a little bit further, but I want to go back to the showings dashboard so you can see what other things you can click on right here in your showing dashboard. Okay, so one, you can click on the MLS number, again right here. Over to the far right hand side, you can also click on an email address. Now for those of you, my computer is set up automatically to filter to Outlook. Okay, and that is how this system is set up. So if you do not have Outlook within your computer, know that you're going to have to just basically copy that email address and post it within an email and you send it yourself.
So if you had Gmail or something.
Correct. So if you have a free online account, that's the only way to do it. But if you are, maybe you're doing this at work and you're set up with Outlook, if you click on it, it will automatically open an email window with that email address and you can email that showing agent directly. Okay? Now, over here on the very far right hand side is those actions. So if I click on this little actions button, you'll notice I'm just hovering over it. It says feedback. Okay, so if I click on it, now I get a new little box that pops open. Okay, now you'll get to see what I did here on the bottom portion of this. I actually set up some of these feedback questions. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that momentarily. But right now, if I'm looking at this, I can tell that the interest for this property is moderate. The source, they actually got this from MLS. Okay, and it's within the buyer's range, so it's in a good price range. So this is a good possibility for that individual who was viewing my listing. Okay, now I added a couple of other feedback questions. Was the house neat and tidy? Of course, yes, it was very clean. And did this house have curb appeal? So you can add several different standard questions, or you can make them more specific to your listing, depending on what information you would like to know. Okay, so that is the showings dashboard. Now if you look right above this, you also have some other options. You can customize that dashboard. Right here next to the dashboard date range, it has change. If you click change, it allows you to then select a date range. So right now mine's viewing me up to 3 days, but you can go back up to 30 days or even select a specific date range.
Why would you want fewer days?
Okay, so let's say maybe you don't want one, because it can take up a lot of information on your report, but let's say you're viewing this maybe on your app, okay? And you'll notice that it takes a lot longer to download depending on how far back you're viewing this information. So if you keep it 1 to 3 days, it's not going to bog down your app as much, but you can always go into the online system and view a standard date or up to 30 days and actually print that report.
Oh, okay, cool, cool.
All right, so I'm going to keep mine at 3 days because that's kind of my standard that I like there. Now you'll notice right underneath it, I also have one, it's got my showing count. So that's telling me that I've had 9 showings within that designated time frame, okay? To the right of that is the feedback count. So if I click on feedback reminders, it's going to take me to any reminders that I, as the agent, still have to answer. So you'll notice that I was the one who actually opened up my own Keybox, okay? So I could show you as an example, all right? So, but normally this would go to the individual who is showing your listing, not to you as the listing agent, okay?
So the buyer's agent would get it.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. All right, so when you come into this, let's say you happen to have gone to a listing and that listing agent wanted you to provide feedback. When you go here, you're going to see this in your feedback reminders. It's going to pop up that MLS number as well as the address, and it's going to ask you to provide feedback, okay? Now, if you did not want to leave feedback, you could always click on ignore the feedback reminder. But if that listing agent has taken the time to set up some feedback reminders, go ahead and accommodate that, because in turn, if you did the same, you would want them to answer those questions, okay? So if I go ahead and click on the one that says leave feedback, you're going to notice that it has the showing date and time of when I actually viewed that property, have the MLS number, as well as the key box and the address. Now you can put in whatever information you would like to here, your buyer's interest level, how they heard about the listing, your price range. Now if you don't have a specific price range, you can also recommend a price. So let's say maybe your the buyer that you're working with, maybe that price range was a little too high. You can always put a recommended price range and see if maybe that listing agent wouldn't work with you on that price range. Okay? You can also do a follow-up, so you can have them contact you, or you can contact them, or no contact needed. If you had additional notes to provide to that agent, you could provide them here. Now, if you notice down at the bottom, there's those 2 questions that me, as the listing agent, has set up for this individual, because I want them to answer these questions.
Okay.
Okay? So once you have answered all of them, you'll submit the feedback. Okay? So I'm going to leave that there. So let's say you were on that screen and forgot to save. No, if you didn't save what you had entered on that page, it's going to stay in your feedback reminders until you address it again. Okay? So if you accidentally, maybe your computer crashes right when you're providing that feedback and you didn't get a chance to save, note that it's always going to be there until you go back and you clear it.
Okay, good to know.
Okay? All right, so now you're going to see over on the far left-hand side, we've got some quick links here. The first one is an update code. All right, so for those of you who have an ND key, this could be important for you to get an update code. But most of y'all are eKey users from our poll earlier. So why would you need an update code as an eKey user? Well, let's say that maybe you happen to be in a service area that is not got a very good internet connection, maybe a more rural area, and your phone did not update automatically like it's supposed to.
Oh.
Okay, you can always get an emergency update code. Now, conveniently, I understand if you can't get on the internet, you might not be able to get on here, okay? So note that if you ever get in that circumstance, you can always call Supra or you can call Metrotex, and we're more than happy to provide you with one. But let's say that maybe your app is just not working properly. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the internet connection. So let's say you can get online. You can always click update code and it will provide you with an emergency update code.
Oh.
Okay? Note For those of you who have ever had to get an emergency update code before, maybe because you called on the phone, it works just like you do on the computer. If you only get 2 emergency update codes until you are forced to do a regular update. So if you get one online, note you only have 1 more left. Okay?
Okay, good to know. And would you recommend, if you were heading out that day for showings, to go ahead and just update while you're at home and you have your good internet connection there?
Yes, especially if you know you're going out to a more rural area, because there's not as many cell towers and out in the boonies. So you may want to go ahead and hit that update code. And it takes just a few seconds for you to do that, and it will automatically update. The good thing to know is once it's updated for that day, you don't have to update it again. So as long as it's updated, even if your internet connection fails when you're out in the field, once your key's updated, it's good to go and you can use it anytime.
Okay, so you just have to update once a day.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, one other thing you can do is adding a key box. Okay? So if you didn't do this through your app, you can always do this online instead. And some agents, you might find this a little easier to do online than on your cell phone. Okay? What it's going to ask you for is a key serial number, shackle code, and your MLS number if you're assigning this to a listing. Well, I actually have a box that I'm going to go ahead and plug in so you can see what this would look like.
So you're just pulling that serial number off the side of the box, correct?
That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I know what my shackle code is there, and I'm also going to attach this to a specific MLS number. Okay, now when I do that, I'm going to say add keybox. Oh. Okay, well good. It looks like I've done something incorrectly. I've got a nice big red mark on there. Let's retype this in here. 05. Okay, my shackle code is in there. And let's just double check our MLS number. Okay, and I'm going to add keybox. Oh.
Tell you what, we will come back to that because I think that we need to double check the key. That's why it's very important to make sure you know your shackle code, people.
Yes, it is. Well, let's see. Okay, well, if you had done this, what it would do is it would add it under the listing section, okay? You'll see the MLS number, the keybox number, and the address that it's assigned to. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this MLS number so we can see what you would have seen if I had successfully added that keybox.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the screen it would actually take you to. Gives you the MLS number. Now here, it would not have had this address, okay? So all I did was click Edit Address, and you can manually type it in and click Done.
So it doesn't automatically pull the address from the MLS?
No, it does not. Supra Online and MLS are not connected. They're 2 separate entities. So you always have to manually type in the information. Now, if you notice over on the right-hand side, you also have an option to add a photo. Now, why that might be important is, let's say you do this for every one of your listings, and you may have 5 or 6 listings if you're really lucky, okay? You can always add a photo, which would make it a little easier when you first go and look at your report, because it will pop up a picture of the listing, okay? So it might be easier for you to go through.
Especially if you maybe had 2 houses on the same street and you wanted to make sure you're doing the right one.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So always make sure you're checking and double checking the MLS number and address. Now note, the reason I say that is if you accidentally put a wrong address in conjunction with the MLS number. Okay, well, when you go and run a report, you're going to notice that those numbers are not correct because it's pulling up a wrong MLS number with a wrong address. Okay, so it's why it's so important that you make sure you double check the listing data.
Okay, good to know.
Now, if you keep on scrolling down, you're going to notice, oh, look, now you can also, this is notes and flyers. Okay, those are things that you can set up for the buyer's agent to provide you. Okay, now here is my feedback questions. Remember when we first started, I showed you on your showings dashboard those feedback questions you could view. Well, this is where I actually added the feedback questions.
Oh.
Okay, So I can click Add Feedback Questions and enter a new question and save. Or if I wanted to change one I've already created, you can just click Edit on the right and change the question again and save. Okay. Now you can have up to 10 feedback questions that you create yourself. Okay. All right, now down below that is the showing notifications for an individual key box. Okay, so what this is going to do is if you check mark this option here, now if you notice when I clicked the uncheck mark, the big box went away. Okay, so now if I click it again, now I have more options down below of who I want this to go to. So maybe you have an assistant or a manager, or maybe you want this to also go to a personal email outside of your work email. You could put up to 5 email addresses for this report to be sent to. And it's only going to be on this one specific key box.
Okay, so I could have it sent to my assistant.
Yes.
Ah, nice. Nice.
Okay. Once you have set up all of the settings, all you're going to do is click Save at the bottom, and then your key box is now set up. Okay.
Perfect.
Now you'll notice right now we're still under the Listings tab. Okay. So in addition, over on the far right hand side, I have some actions. Again, there's always a legend down at the bottom that will tell you what each one of those icons are for. So the little door is your showing activity. So if I click on that door, it's going to provide me with the showing activity for my box. Again, it also gives you the feedback, but it gives you a little bit more information right here. As you can see, it gives you the date, it gives you the listing, which that's the listing ID is the MLS number, provides you with the address of the listing, the showing agent's information, as well as the key box number. Now right here has a key number. So note that key number, as you can see, some of them are the same because it's the same individual, myself, Heather. But if you look down below, here's different key box key numbers. That key number belongs to this individual.
So the key number is specific to a person. Everybody has their own key number, like a social security number.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
So you're never going to see the same key number twice unless it's the same person.
Okay. So if they open the Shackle, drop it and then later put it back in, you'll see them twice.
Correct. That is why when I was playing with this earlier this morning, you'll notice I opened up the same box 4 or 5 times. Okay? And that's because I opened the key compartment and then I opened it again to put the key compartment back, as well as opening the shackle. So I did more than one thing on that box, but it records every single thing you do.
Okay, good.
Okay. Now also, you'll notice the next column is showing office. So if they are with a specific brokerage, it will give you the showing office name. As you can see, down here below, we've got a Coldwell Banker as well as Dallas City Centers. Okay. So you may want to also look at that and notice how often, or maybe you deal with more EBI agents or things like that. Might be something just to kind of keep an eye on.
So you can see which office tends to be showing your listings.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And if you have a repeat offender, so if you deal with more than one agent, they may find that they like a lot of your listings, or maybe you work in the same area. So it may be something that somebody you might want to communicate with. Okay.
Good to know.
All right. So you can also see it right here at the very top of the report. You have some options to also email it, print it, or create a new report. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and step back so we can again view the rest of these icons within the listings. Okay. Over on the right, you can also click on the envelope, which that will allow you to actually email the showing agent. Okay. On the far right is the listing details. So if I click on this, it's going to provide me the details of the listing. Again, it's just providing the MLS number, address, and other data that we had viewed earlier. Okay. Now if you note, there's 2 tabs here. If you click on the one that says Keybox settings, all it's doing is telling you exactly the Keybox number, the Shackle Code, CBS code. Know that if you are dealing with an assistant, a photographer, or somebody outside of an agent they may call you and say, I need a CBS code to enter this listing. You can come and check out your Keybox and actually get the CBS code directly from online. Okay? If for some reason you don't have access to get online, you can always call Supra or call Metrotext and be provided that information as well.
Okay, good.
Okay? Now if you look down a little bit further, you're going to notice, okay, it's telling me this is connected to an MLS number. And this was last programmed today, so I reprogrammed this box as of today's date. And requiring feedback. So this box is requiring feedback. So when anybody opens up my box, they're going to be asked standard questions that they must answer. Okay. Now that last one right there is the battery capacity. We get calls all the time asking, well, when can I exchange my Keybox? Once you get a Keybox that is 5% or less, you can bring it into Metrotext and we will exchange it out for a new one. Okay, so this one right here, you're going to notice that it's at 3%.
Holy
so
mackerel.
I'm probably going to be switching out my Keybox pretty quickly because it's going to no longer work if I don't do so.
So basically, all the Keyboxes are warranted. So once they get below 5%, they can just come in and switch them out?
Yes.
Oh.
So you could, in turn, have a box that you've had for several years and come right in and get a brand new box because they are covered under warranty.
Good, that's good to know.
Okay. All right, so that is all the information you can view within the listing information right here. Now on the left-hand side, you can always use the quick links. All it's going to do is take you to the listings or the key boxes. Again, you can also add a key box. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to reports. In this report section, you have two different types of reports you can pull. Create a showing report. Basically, that's giving you the feedback and showing information on your listings. Okay.
So for a specific box, we can see who's shown that property.
That is correct. And if I had required that key box to ask for feedback, it will also show the feedback within my report as well.
Okay.
Okay. Now the key activity report, that is your key. Okay, you as the listing agent, it will provide you a report of everything you have used your key on. So even if you've gone and looked at your own listing, maybe you had to go and open that shackle or something like that, it's going to show that on your report, but it's also going to show you all the showings that you've had. So if you've done, let's say you've done 8 or 9 showings in one day, it's going to show all of that activity within your key report.
So that's the report for what the buyer's agent or the key holder's done.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Good.
All right. You can also, which is a really cool feature here, you can also schedule email settings. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click this here. And you're going to notice what this is asking is I want these to be recurring emails. Okay, so I don't want to have to come to Supra Online once a week or once a month and print out my reports or have them emailed to me. So I can, just like you can in MLS, you can have this be an automatic email sent to you based on what you want it to include. Okay, so right here you're going to put in the email address of where you want it to be sent to. Then the showing emails. Okay, you can select once a week or once a month. You'll notice the drop-down menu will let you select even what day you want it to be during the week. Or you can do the once a month, at the first of the month, the 15th of the month, or the last day of the month. Okay? Now I know all of my key boxes, I have set it for feedback. So I'm always going to check mark include feedback. Okay? Now, if you want, as you notice, you can only add one email address at the top. But if you want this to be sent to more than one individual, you can by adding it right here under send a copy to, that CC. Okay?
So I could send it to my broker and to my assistant.
Correct.
Oh.
And if you want to put multiple email addresses, you can by putting a semicolon in between each email address. Okay? Now, if you notice right down here at the bottom, for those of you who don't know me, this is me right here in the corner, you can add a picture as well as a standard signature. Now, I have already populated this information in there, and here's the reason I wanted you to see that. I didn't have to go and set it up every time. It's already automatically set up. So once you do the setup, you only have to do it once, okay? So go ahead, if you want to, make sure you click Choose File. It'll ask you to browse and upload your picture, okay? And then you can add your email signature over on the right.
Okay, so it looks professional.
Yes. And that way when this comes, say you are sending this to your broker, well, they may get this report and not know who it's from if you didn't add a signature. And if you don't want to add the picture, that is completely optional, but it's best to always have a signature so they know who the report is coming from. Okay. And then again, you'll save at the bottom. Once you have saved, it'll take you back to where you can either return to your account settings or just go to the back screen. Okay. So I'm going to go right back to our reports, okay? Now, I'm going to actually show you what you're going to see if you go to a Create a Showing report, okay? All it's going to ask you for is you can either select all of your listings for it to email you information on, or a specific box, or a specific MLS number, okay? So you have the option to choose. Now you also have the option to select the time frame of when you want this to pull the report. So let's say you were wanting to figure out what you did all of last month, you could put in that month date range and it will pull only that specific date. Okay. Now down below you can also include this to show the showing contact information as well as your feedback, and then right here export to CSV. Now CSV, if you're not aware, that means it's going to convert it to an Excel spreadsheet. So this may be something that you do every month and you want to keep record of it for maybe your showings for the entire year. So you could have it export to Excel and keep track of it on your computer and save it once a month or once a week or how often you have this set up for.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then of course you'll just create report once you've done that. Okay. Now the key activity report is just a little different. All this requires is a date range. Now the reason it's not asking for additional information is because you are the key holder and it's only going to show you information on you as the key holder. It won't show you information of any other person's key. Okay? So that's why it only asks you for a date range as well as your feedback, and again you can export this to Excel if you so choose and then create your report. Okay? Now the next section we're going to go over is your settings. Okay? You'll notice settings, all this information here at the top is just your information, your contact information, as well as email. Over on the right, it will tell you your serial number, and if you have an eKey. So if you have a D key, for those who have not converted yet, you'll notice that this says D key instead of eKey basic. Now, with my eKey, I have some options down below of general settings. So if I click on general email, it allows me to not only send showing notifications, but I can also send feedback emails as well as reminder emails. Now the reminder emails, what that will provide you is if you want this to remind you of on a listing that you have shown, okay? What that means is within your app, when you are done with that showing, it's going to pop up a little reminder saying, are you done with your showing? Okay. All right. So you can always set up reminders. You can also have it email you updates on the listing information. So if something has changed, you can always get updated on that. Okay. All right. So you also have scheduled emails. Again, this takes you back to where we were a few minutes ago. But again, you can access this just by going to settings. And then last, you can also do eKey showings. Okay, what this is going to provide you is up to 7 days or 1 day of your showing activity on your eKey. So like we were talking about earlier, you might not want to go back to 7 days because it may take up too much information within your app, but you always have that capability to review that here on your online system.
So your recommendation is to set that to maybe 1, 2, or 3 days so that it's just not so much data on your phone.
Correct.
Ah,
correct.
Good. Okay, good information.
All right, so that's all you can do within the settings. Now, we're going to go ahead and skim over billing because y'all go ahead and pay Metrotech, so there's no reason to go ahead and mess any of that information up. Okay? All right, now right here at the very end is our support. So if you ever get stranded and you don't know how to maneuver around and you can't contact Metrotech, you can always click support and it will provide you with the phone number for Supra and this nice little feature here, call volume. If you click on that, it gives you their standard call volume and kind of their wait time. So if you are in a kind of short time supply, you can always check and see what the call volume is and see if it's worth even making a phone call at that time.
So I was noticing here they're open 7 days a week. So Metrotech is open 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. So if something happens on the weekends, you can always call Supra.
Yes, you can.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes. So they're always your second line of defense. Okay? Now, over here on the left-hand side, you have some other quick links. Within that quick links, you've got workshops. Right now, I know there's no workshops to be available, but if you clicked on it, it would provide you with any upcoming workshops. Now, the downloads, this is going to be for those maybe if you are a eKey user and you happen to have lost the software or things like that, you can always go here and re-download that software. Now, I really like this feature, which is Supra Web Training Materials.
Ooh.
Okay, now you'll notice it shows you all of the options that they have within Supra. We don't have all of these, okay? We only have this right here, which is your display key and your eKey, okay? So don't get too excited if you see another one. They're not all available within Metrotech. Now, right down here below, you can always click on video tutorials, and it will actually show you a step-by-step video of how to obtain a key, how to open your shackle like we did at the beginning of our presentation. If you don't want to watch a video, you can always download the user manual. If you download the user manual, you're going to notice over here on the left-hand side, you can select the one you're interested in. So I'm going to select the eKey resources. Okay? Now, eKey resources, you have lots of options. How you actually install it, how you do an authorization code, gives you all the beginning steps right there in how to.
Oh, good.
Now, right here is really cool because it will also give you a download version of the training material for the individual kind of phone. So if you have an Android, an Apple, or a BlackBerry, you can go and select your phone specifically and view those instructions because each cell phone is just a tiny bit different within the app.
Okay.
Okay. Now you'll also notice you can also select error codes. So if you're ever using your eKey and something happens to fail, you can use the error codes to see what was the problem. Okay. Again, if you're not quite sure about how all of that works, you can always contact Supra directly or contact Metrotech. Okay. All right. Well, that is pretty much everything within our the online system. Okay.
Now, I noticed that Wendy up here has a question. Now, why would you choose the eKey over the dKey?
Okay. Well, as you can see, the eKey has lots of options within the app that the dKey does not. So a dKey, you cannot add a key box. You cannot change or edit your key boxes as well. You only have that option if you come to Metrotech with a dKey. Now, in addition with an eKey, if you happen to have more issues when you're out in the field, let's say maybe your app isn't working properly or something fails, us as Metrotech and also Supra, we have more abilities to help you in the field than we do with your display key. If your display key happens to fail, your only option is to bring that key in and take time out of your day for us to come and check out your key and possibly exchange it. With an eKey, we have more options to help you without having to take time out of your day and come up to the office.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay. So, looks like we've answered a lot of questions here today.
Hopefully I've learned some new things today. We did go over some of my favorite features, which of course is the showing reports and feedback. ability to make changes on your key boxes without having to come into the association, as well as an overview of the online eKey system. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today. This presentation will be available out on Metrotex's website on the YouTube channel in a few days. If you'd like to review this information, or if you found it useful, please share this with other colleagues of yours. We hope you learned a lot and look forward to seeing you soon. Note that we have another webinar coming up called Intro to Matrix that will be done by Miss Barbara Bach on Monday, March 14th. We appreciate you attending our webinar today.
Thank you.